I'm Jen. Welcome back to our community and to another episode of Wellness Unfiltered, where we try out workout classes and wellness experiences around New York City to see what is worth your time and your money. Today, we are going to be breaking down one of the most frequently asked questions in the workout class sphere, and that is, what is the difference between Pilates on a Reformer and Megaformer Pilates? I can't tell you how many times I've gotten texts from people saying, I'm taking my first Pilates class, I'm so excited. 1 hour later, they're like, I'm broken. What the hell was that? That was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I'll be like, what class did you take? Solid core, SLT, body rock, a Megaformer class. And I'm like, girl, that is not Pilates. But don't take it from me. I'm actually gonna bring the experts in to once and for all break down what the difference is between a Reformer machine and a Megaformer machine. So let's start with the founder of Brooks Pilates at her Brooks Pilates studio in Flatiron in New York City, where we're gonna be getting a tour of the Reformer Pilates workout. Let's go. Okay, we're here with Sarah, founder of Brooks Pilates, and she is gonna tell us the difference from her perspective of a Reformer studio like she has versus a Megaformer studio, because people are obviously very confused in this space.
Yes.
So let's get into it.
Yes.
What is the difference between Reformer and Megaformer studios?
So there's big differences between the machines itself, but also more importantly, the way that they are used and what is taught on these machines. What the Mega Reformer is kind of a reformer with a lot of different bells and whistles, and it could be used in different ways. What you're seeing done in Mega Reformer classes is very different from Pilates because it's more like boot camp. I think in a lot of these Mega Reformer classes, you see a lot of lunging, a lot of planking, a lot of like pulling against the resistance, where here we kind of push towards it. So it's just safer. Not that we don't do lunging and planking in Pilates, we do. We just do it in a different way. A Pilates class should be very controlled. It should be very informative. It is a place where you're really deep diving into that mind-body connection. It should be very safe and it should be very well-rounded. Like, yes, it's gonna be very hard and very challenging in certain moments, but it's also gonna be a lot about stretching and opening you up so that you leave well balanced.
Almost like a step up from yoga, where you feel like you're getting a deep stretch. It feels relaxed. You feel like you can really have control over your breath, and it's almost like the thing I go to when I don't feel like being in a boot camp style class, but I want to feel like I'm sculpting and stretching and more relaxed. It does sound like one's the easy one and one's the hard one, and it's more, from my experience, about the stress on the body and even the mind. One's a little more aggressive, I would say, and I think people that really enjoy HIIT workouts might gravitate to that.
Absolutely, because that's kind of what it is, right? It's like a HIIT workout on a machine.
The fact that both are using the word Pilates is what confuses people so much. So hopefully this video is gonna bring more clarity. So let's move to the machine and what it actually looks like at a Reformer studio.
Absolutely. This is a contemporary Reformer. Why don't we have you lie down on your back? We're gonna put your feet up on the foot bar, and I start all of my classes with footwork, okay? So we'll start very simple. We'll show you one with your feet and knees all the way together. Good, hands are close into the mat, yep. Okay, so you're gonna flex your feet, and then you're just gonna push the foot bar all the way out. You're gonna lengthen your legs out, and you're gonna bend your knees back in. So this is called footwork, and the intention of footwork is to, one, work your feet, strengthen them, strengthen your ankles, strengthen your knees and your hips, and obviously all the muscles in your legs, right? You should also feel this kind of pushing against your shoulders, which opens up your chest. And you wanna remember that you're not just lying there, that you're firmly pressing into your hands, and you're thinking about interlacing your rib cage, which is gonna engage your abs. And just do little pulses up at the carriage. So just go up an inch, down an inch. Yeah, and immediately it gets spicy, right?
It burns, and it looks like so simple and relaxed.
So simple, but it's so not at all. That just made it harder because you had more resistance on. Now I'm gonna take resistance off, which is gonna make it harder because you have less help, right? So from here, we're gonna do a bridge, okay? So you're gonna lift your hips all the way up. Good, and you're gonna start to really feel those hamstrings work, right? Like almost immediately. I can make it even harder by taking away the resistance, but we're not gonna do that today.
Thank you.
So now we're gonna use the straps, okay? So we'll hold, stay right there where you are. You're gonna hold the long loops with your hands today. Good. And you're gonna bring your legs to tabletop position. Feet and knees stay squeezed together, and just pull the arms down by your side. Good, so now we're obviously working your arms. Lift your arms up just to there, and you'll go right back down. Last time, pull your arms down and hold it. You're gonna extend your legs over the foot bar, hold it there. This is our 100 position. We're not gonna do that today because I don't even know where you are level-wise, but we're just gonna hold it for 5.
Shaking.
Shaky, shaky, good. So come on up. You have a really nice plank, lady, but I would lift your hips a tad and tuck your tushy under. Perfect, do you feel the difference?
Yep.
Now let's keep the pelvis quiet. Just do little saws with your arms. You're gonna go forward a little bit, back a little bit.
It's harder than it looks, I assure you.
The original form of Pilates was called contrology, the art of control. And so the original theory is that you should never do any movement without being able to 100% control the movement. So in Pilates, we don't always go super slow, but we do not pick up our pace until we have mastered the art of the control of the movement. Every single movement that you're doing in Pilates is a stretch. And you are strengthening the muscles at the same time. So it's active stretching, strengthening. It's
That's
amazing.
exactly why it feels so good.
Yeah, there's no pressure on the joints. You're stretching while you're strengthening. So it's something you can do your entire life. You know, I work with athletes, I work with moms to be, I work with elderly people, and literally it's for everybody, and that's why it's really amazing.
Okay, it's the next day. We are in New York City's most popular Megaformer studio, SLT, and we have Rainey, Senior Master Instructor at SLT. We have the expert here. So if you have heard of SLT, Body Rock, Solid Core, all of these Megaformer classes and been confused, is this Pilates, is this not? Rainey's gonna break it down for us.
Megaformer is basically just think like heavier tension, right? So spring tension is so much more aggressive than a regular Pilates reformer. So I feel like for me, when I've taken Pilates classes, it feels a little bit more gentle. Not that it's always like that, but it's a little bit more relaxed. The whole thought process behind making the Megaformer, the original maker of the Megaformer, literally taught like weights with a Pilates machine. So he came from like a strength and like weightlifting kind of background. So he was trying to make the Pilates reformer more intense. So he added more weight. So he's like, I'm just gonna make this new machine that does those things without having to add like all the bells and whistles and the machine and the XYZ. So when I think of this, I refer to it as like a strength training workout.
Okay.
Pilates-esque.
Okay,
right?
Everyone comes in and is kind of like flabbergasted their first time because it's pretty intense, but at face value, both machines in a normal Pilates studio reformer versus a Megaformer, at face value, they look the same.
Totally.
So let's go into the studio and show us how they're different.
Go under the hood.
Okay, let's go.
So 2 stable surfaces for the machine. There's your front platform and back platform. So if you ever need to stand and you're taking class, that's where you stand. The moving portion of the machine is called the carriage. It's gonna shut all the way to the front. High handlebars, high and low C-curve bars. Carriage has cutouts on it so you can put your feet or your knees or your toes against them, and then there's straps here. On this machine specifically, we have a yellow spring and a red spring. Yellow springs are lighter tension, red springs are heavier tension. To put a spring on for this machine, you're gonna lift it up. So that's a little bit of a different thing than some of the, even other Megaformers or traditional Pilates reformers. They're usually under the front platform and you hook the spring on. This is a little bit more user-friendly, you just lift it up. If you think about like a rubber band, so when you're stretching your rubber band, the further you stretch it, the more like taut it gets. So that's where the weight aspect gets a little tricky. So you're 5 to 7 pounds on your yellow spring. So if it's at the front, it's a little bit closer to 5. If we're stretching it all the way to the back, it's gonna feel like a 7-pound weight hypothetically. The red springs are closer to like 30 to 40. So they're pretty heavy when you put them on. And they're gonna create a lot more of that like push-pull resistance that gives you more of the like strength training aspect when you add on a lot heavier tension springs. The whole concept of the slow aspect is like really targeting slow twitch muscle fibers. For us specifically, we add in cardio bursts in contrast to that, and the transitions are supposed to be fast. So when we're in this slow paced movement, that's gonna target your muscles a little bit differently than some of the like repetitive actions that happen in Pilates. So we're gonna get like the deeper burn.
So when we say it's more high intensity in this class than a reformer Pilates, it is, but it doesn't mean that there's like a lot of cardio or you're moving super quick. It's just like more intense.
The whole point of it being more intense is the transitions are faster. So when we're moving through things faster, there's less time for breaks, which I feel like for me in Pilates, when I've taken, there's a lot of like time to explain because some of the movements are more complicated. So that's where for me, I lose a little bit of that like heart rate elevation versus here we're getting you in it. Even if you have no idea what's going on, we'll get you there. Yeah. But it's like moving quicker to keep the heart rate spiked.
After speaking with experts from both methods and taking probably 100 classes of both Reformer Pilates and Megaformer Pilates in my lifetime, here are my takeaways. Although these machines and classes look pretty similar from the outside, you truly can't understand just how different they feel and how extremely different the classes are themselves and the experience is until you take one yourself. My advice, if you have never taken a Pilates class ever, period, and someone invites you to try out a class, please check if it's Reformer Pilates or Megaformer Pilates. A lot of people even argue that the word Pilates shouldn't be used for Megaformer studios at all. Reformer Pilates is a lot slower in their transitions, it's more relaxed, less resistance on the machine, and therefore you're gonna feel a lot more supported through learning the moves, targeting the right body parts. It's less stressful of an experience for your first time, let's put it that way. So I would absolutely always start there with the Reformer class. If you find yourself enjoying the moves, understanding the moves, feeling comfortable on the machine, but you're looking to up the intensity and go a bit more hardcore, even on just some other days of the week, then that's where you can try out a Megaformer class and see if you like it. I personally love both. I would go to these classes on very different days though, if that makes sense. They are completely different vibes. They're totally different when it comes to how it feels in your body, how you feel after, the intensity, etc. I think you get the point by now. I hope you get the gist. Comment below any questions. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Comment down below where you want me to review next, or any other points of confusion that you have in the wellness or fitness space, and I'll break it down in another video, and I'll see you next week.